All right, so I'm here with Hector and Matador Fajardo at Team Alpha Male, and we're going to be going over the fights for this coming Friday, primarily the co-main event and the main event in Mexicali. So first off, I wanted to talk about the fight between Yasmin Jauregui and Karen Cedillo. So the way I see this is with Jauregui coming out on top with some spectacular type of finish. So far, she's 4-0 in her professional career. She's gotten 3 finishes in Combate alone with a TKO and a couple of KOs in there. So she's looking really strong. But Karen's coming in with a win streak as well, and she's ready to do damage. So how do you see this fight playing out?
I've seen Yasmin fight quite a few times, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of her work. Her boxing's very slick. She's a very athletic fighter, very well-rounded, and she comes from a pretty strong camp. All the guys over at Entram in TJ in Mexico, they're pretty legit. I see her continuing her streak. She's a killer. She's here to put in work. So that's gonna be my pick.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you there, man. She's definitely here to put in work. Combate put on a nice little video promo for her fight, and it really caught my attention. She was speaking a lot about what motivates her to fight. She brought up her son. Yeah. She's a young mother living in Tijuana, which, as we all know, is one of the toughest places to live in this world. And somehow she's coming out and putting it all on the line. I really like what she's bringing to the table, but we can't count out Karen. She comes from a tough team as well, Team Lions Alpha down in Monterrey, Mexico. So really looking forward to that bout. I think it's going to be another action-packed fight put on by Combate.
100%.
100% right there.
The thing with them is, like I say it all the time, you put two Latinos or 2 Mexicans in a cage, crazy things happen. So I expect a good show out of those two. They're both going to bring it, and just like I said, but they're both gritty. They're going to live up to the billing for sure. It's going to be one to watch. Definitely.
Now, in the main event, it's pretty exciting as well, man. This is a really good fight that I don't think anybody should miss. I mean, if you don't have the channel, you need to go purchase it and make sure you do not miss Rafa Garcia versus Humberto Bandenay. This is going to be a badass fight because it's 2 young, talented individuals. Rafa is 11-0. He's undefeated. He's the current lightweight champion for Combate Americas, and he's coming off of a big win off of Eric Ghost Pepper Gonzalez, who is another big name for Combate Americas, a big action fighter. Humberto, on the other hand, is coming off of, I would say, a win streak. He had 4 fights that one night for the Copa Combate, took home the $100,000 prize in the Copa. He also beat Eric Gonzalez in the final to take that. So they both their last matchup was against Eric. Really, really good fights. If you haven't seen those, you need to go on the YouTube page and check out those fights on Combate America's YouTube between Rafa and Ghost Pepper, and also Humberto and Ghost Pepper. Amazing fights. But on this one, I think the technical side of things is definitely going to come into play.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough. This one's a tough one. Timing has a lot to do with it as well. Bandenay just fought not that long ago, right. Like really not that long ago, and he did the tournament. So he had like 2-3 fights in one night.
Yeah.
Given the timing, that could be kind of a good or bad thing. Rafa's gonna come in a little bit fresher, which is something to play. And then I believe he also trains out in Albuquerque too. Yeah. So he's gonna have that. He's gonna have that. Both guys are gonna come in ready to go. My thing is, who's going to come in fresher and who's going to come in ready to go. I think this is a pretty even fight, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards Humberto. I like his pedigree a little bit more. He's got high level experience, and I really liked what I saw the last fight. And, that whole Copa Combate, he looked really great.
Yeah, he looked great. He did. He did. Do you think that the camp that they come from is going to play at all? I know that Bandenay comes from, I guess, lesser-known camp down in Peru. Oh, yeah. Whereas Rafa's been training with some of the UFC elite. He's down at Jackson Wink right now. What do you how do you think that plays into this whole thing? Especially you. I mean, you're here at Team Alpha Male. You kind of know how that plays in, whether a small camp, big camp.
Yeah, no. I think also Humberto comes from a pretty solid camp himself. He has a UFC fighter in this camp as well. Right. So the pedigree there is pretty high. Not to mention Peru they have great striking just in general. So, you know, I'm pretty close with Gaston Bolano, so I see that level of striking from him. You know, the Peruvians, don't sleep on their striking, don't sleep on the camp. And again, we saw Humberto do the one-night tournament. It came out great, and I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe Humberto has UFC experience.
He does.
So
he had 4 fights in the UFC. He did end it on a 3-fight losing streak before he came into Combate, though.
Yes. I think he's got everything clicking now since especially since he's been racking up his wins. Again, he has UFC experience, which plays into it as well. My thing, honestly, it all comes down to who's gonna come in better that night and who's gonna come in clicking, because I think it's virtually splitting hairs. They're both really good fighters.
Yeah.
It's just who's gonna come in better. Again, that tournament could work well for Humberto because now he's clicking, or maybe, you know, he's a little bit more worn out,
right?
Or maybe you know, Rafa had some time. It's whose game plan is going to click the most.
Right.
But I'm not sleeping on either one. I think that overall that's just a fight that's going to be good to watch. And it's like there really is no loser if you're the fan watching.
That's right.
It's just a treat.
It's no matter what, if you're watching, you're not going to lose on this one. So definitely tune in. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a great matchup between the two. It is going to come down to that. How affected is Humberto from that tournament that he was just in? Those fights were not easy fights.
No, not at all.
They were back and forth. So I think that's definitely going to play a factor. But then I also think the height and reach.
Yeah, that plays a lot.
Rafa is about 4 inches shorter than Humberto, and the reach is about 4 inches shorter as well. So I think that's something to look out for as well, especially like you mentioned, the striking of the Peruvian is pretty high level as well.
No, definitely. We're gonna see. I guarantee Rafa's gonna come in trying to pressure, and we'll see how Humberto deals with it. It'll be a fun fight to watch for sure.
I think Rafa's probably gonna use his wrestling a little bit more here, try to get in, take him down, and take it to the ground.
Given the camp that he's at, he sees a lot of that. He's gonna implement it. They're all grinders over there.
Right.
You know, so I think that's definitely going to be the game plan. Pressure, grind, and try to drown out Humberto. But again, Humberto's no slouch either. So, you know, the thing is, you have to close that space in order to gain that. And in that window of time, I mean, Humberto could capitalize on something, and you know, Rafa might pay for it, or the other way around. You know, it's such a close fight. There's no loser. It's just going to be exciting. They're both tough guys, and that's the thing about Combate is they put these really tough, durable Latin guys in the cage, and it's not really like, it's hard to pick a winner in most of these their main event, main event fights, because it's gonna be a slugfest, man.
That's right, man. Hey, they call it Mexican style boxing for a reason, man. They get in there in the phone booth and they fucking go at it. So
absolutely,
I agree with you there, man. Great matchups this Friday, February 21st for Combate Americas. Now, a week later, it's your turn. You're hopping back in the cage. You're going up against Shane Torres down in Fresno, California. How is your camp coming along, man? I think this was a short notice fight for you, right?
Yeah, literally. I got notified about it. Potentially, it wasn't even a for sure thing. I got notified last Friday that it was maybe going to happen. But the thing is, I stay ready year round, 100%. I live by it. Many people say that, but I live by it. After my last fight, I was already jumping on Combate about when their first, when the February card was going to come on, and they had told me, back in December that Fresno was on the docket, and from there I was in their ear constantly. I wanted to jump on that Fresno card like crazy. So even when I didn't have any matchups or any hear back or anything like that, I mentally stayed prepared. I physically stayed prepared. So as soon as I got that call, within less than 2 weeks, I was already peaking for that camp no matter what. So I feel good. I feel fresh. I'm ready to go. My cardio's at an all-time high. My technique's at an all-time high. I didn't take time off from my last fight. I looked to build off from that. So I feel ready to go. I feel fresh. This is probably the best. I know it's short notice, but this is probably the best I'm gonna feel going into a fight.
Awesome, man.
I feel it.
It's almost like hometown territory for you, right? You're back in Fresno.
Yeah.
Put on the performance.
Hey, I say it all the time. Hey, good things happen when I go to Fresno.
Yeah.
I have my best performances when I go to Fresno. A big reason why, as soon as they said that they're looking to have a Fresno card in the middle of February, I was like, I wanted to start off the year very much how I started off last year. Going into Fresno, I'm very familiar with Save Mart at this point. I'm familiar with the crowd. I'm familiar with the ambience. The thing is, last year, this was uncharted territory for me as far as the promotion. the jitters were there. Now this is gonna be my third fight with Combate, you know, in a very familiar setting. So man, I'm at the point where I'm just ready to go, man. I've kept the consistency all the way around, and I've looked to push myself to a higher level. Like I said, I'm ready to go. I'm as ready as can be. I'm as cool and calculated as can be. And everything's taken care of.
That's good, man. Yeah. Well, it's hard to ask you what you've done to prepare for the fight since you just found out about it. But what do you know about your opponent so far?
I'm actually pretty familiar with my opponent. One thing that I do is as you know, I take my job and my lifestyle very seriously. Is I keep tabs on all the 35ers in the region. Okay. I'm always keeping an eye out. I'm always scouting. I'm always watching. I'm always doing my homework. Just in general, at least keeping some kind of familiarity with the people that I need to worry about within my region. Okay. And it's a shark infested waters in NorCal. So with Shane, he's relatively in the area. He's from Santa Cruz. Claudio Franca. He competes in grapple style. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I've seen his style over the years. He's fought one of my teammates a couple months ago, so I was at that fight. I watched that fight. As soon as the name got dropped, it wasn't something that I felt that I had to complete. Like, I was relatively familiar with. Okay. So matchup wise, I always look for a good challenge. Run my resume. Everybody's pretty hard that I fight, so right. I treat this guy as that he's going to be a tough challenge, and a worthy challenge, but nothing that I haven't seen in this gym, in this room, on a daily basis, every single day. So I'm just excited. He's a very good grappler, but I feel my game is a lot more well-rounded. As an MMA, like, this isn't a grappling match. This is a fight. Right. So we're gonna see who comes out and implements their best game plan. Obviously, I'm betting on myself.
Hell yeah.
I'm betting on myself. I'm betting on my preparation and my style, and I feel like I'll be ready for him. And I'm sure he'll be ready too. You know, I'm not counting this guy out. He's tough.
Yeah, he should be ready.
I don't fight cans. He should be ready. He's been planning to fight since probably January. He's had that notice since January.
Right.
So,
yes, I noticed that. Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a problem. As far as the fight, one thing I do notice is he's never actually fought at 135. So first and foremost, I hope he makes the weight. We don't have any. I'm not looking to do any 140 catch weight. Okay. But we'll see, man. I'll be there. I'm taking this on 2 weeks' notice. I'm gonna make the weight. I'm gonna be ready to go. I just hope he's just as prepared too, and just ready to put on a show. I love fighting for Combate, man. Every time I'm always on their head about put me on, and every time I'm on, I always look to put my best performance, and my performances have always been good. I mean, just run the video, run the tape. Yeah. I always bring the show, so it's just another opportunity for me to bring the show, and show Combate that I'm someone you can push. I'm someone that you can look to put out there consistently and frequently. Right. I'm always going to show up ready to work.
The exciting fights. Your last fight in Texas, you put on a striking clinic. Yeah. Right? I mean, it was an amazing fight. Again, if you guys haven't seen that, check it out on the YouTube page for Combate Americas. But really amazing fight. So definitely, I have to agree with you there, man. As somebody that is a fan of fighting, I like to see that style. So
yeah, and again, like, as soon as I got done with my last fight, my goal was to top that performance. So I never got complacent. So I just take this as an opportunity to really show that I worked on everything. Like, I didn't get complacent, that I worked on all the good things that worked in my last fight. I'm gonna come in better. I'm gonna come in sharper. I'm gonna come in ready to go, and a stronger version of myself. And I think that's one of my strengths, is I'm not the same fighter in any video that you pop in or watch. I'm not the same guy. Everything's always different. So they can run the tape, they can watch whatever they want, but they're gonna see a different guy. And just don't expect the same guy from last time. You're gonna see another version of myself. So I'm definitely someone that's hard to study in that regard, because I'm always looking to change up and bring something better to the table. And I think this is going to be another opportunity to show that. And again, the Fresno crowd, I've been there before. They're gonna be familiar with someone who's ready to put on a show.
Awesome, man. Hey, well, last thing, I don't know if you want to give a shout out to any of your sponsors, anybody in particular?
I'd like to give a shout out. Well, first, to Team Alpha Male. Always give a shout out to my team and home. None of this is possible without them, as far as preparation. Little mini shout out to CSA. I go train with them on the weekends. Very hospitable group. I love going over there. As far as shout out to my management, Iridium Sports. Another one, man, I got a lot of sponsors and supporters. I could go all day long, but thank you everyone who has taken the time to support me and give me any kind of assistance with things. It's been a long journey, and we're just getting started. In all honesty, we're just getting started. So stay tuned and get ready to see some fireworks next week.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you at the fights.